This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome everyone to our AnCan December meeting. I'm Michelle NADEEM-BAKER and one of your moderators, along with others who are here with me. Welcome everyone. Oh, what a look what you did with this picture. We're honoring Al tonight, our dear moderator, co-moderator who it's just really hard to imagine he's not here with us any longer. He passed since we last met. And it's just, it's just pretty shocking. So what a beautiful, beautiful image that you did here, Alexa. Thank you. Rick, I know that you and Al were just tight, really close. And I know that you went, I believe, to his services. Can you share with us what happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
The my background with Al goes back to about 2011 or 12, something like that, when his brother Luis introduced us, and I was living in Marin, California, and I needed some help to manage a couple of properties I owned, and so that's how I got to know him. And for the first 6 or 7 years, I think we only met one or two times. But when I decided to move back to this area, um, he was waiting here to meet me where I live to help me unpack the truck that I had, and of course I did see a lot more of him, and we became very good friends. Um, and he was still working. Most of his working, I just recently learned that he actually worked in oil and gas drilling, which I never knew until the weekend. But most of his life was spent in painting and decorating, and he was really a very, very fine artisan. Um, Rebuilding furniture, refinishing furniture, anything that needed refinishing, from a 1950s bicycle to some really amazing chairs, finish chairs. Um, he was just an ace. I mean, he was so talented. But then his whole family was, or at least three of the brothers and his father were artisans. Um, So he started to get sick probably around 2019, and he complained a lot of his feet were hurting, and this was hurting, that was hurting anyway. Um, this went on for months. I would say maybe 9 months. And it turned out that he was diagnosed with a blood cancer, although they really didn't diagnose it properly down here in Tucson. And he went to Arizona Oncology, and he also went to the University of Arizona Hospital, which is an NCI hospital. And they really putzed around. And I said to him, you should get your ass up to Mayo because they're really good on this stuff, which he did. And the Mayo doc, Gene Palmer, who is known for MPNs, proliferative neoplasm, um, diagnosed him with polycythemia vera. And so, of course, I immediately got him involved with this group. And I immediately got him involved with this group. And Michelle and Sally took him under their wing, and it was around the time we were starting off the group. And once he got comfortable, I asked him if he'd like to become a moderator. He, he was not an educated, he was a very smart and a very funny and a very bright person. He wasn't an educated man. And he felt out of his depth, but we watched him really start to um, fill out in the position of being a moderator and helping other people and stepping up to the plate. And hopefully, some of you will also talk about that a little bit because, as I said at his celebration of life on Saturday, one of the things I was just most proud of Al was the fact that he really became his own best advocate. Um, and he also advocated for other people, and he also got other people involved in advocating for themselves, and that was really amazing. Um, what happened? I learned on I think it was the 13th, that actually no, it was on the 15th of November. I learned that Al had been in the hospital since the 13th and was not doing well. I tried to speak to him a couple of times, but he didn't call back. And evidently, he had a bad chest infection, and it got progressively worse, and it became septic. And they took him into the hospital on the 15th. On the 17th, they they moved him to the ICU, and he died on the 20th. Um, he didn't have he didn't have a blood sepsis, but he did have a chest sepsis infection, chest infection that was septic. And he was totally unable to make platelets. And the initial diagnosis of the uh, people here in Tucson was that he had AML, but they never were able to. They planned to do a bone marrow biopsy, but they never were able to do it. Now, what we do know is about 3 months, 2 to 3 months prior, his condition had deteriorated, and he'd gone up, and he had in August a bone marrow transplant, a bone marrow biopsy, and they determined that he degenerated to a myelodysplasia syndrome, MDS, and they were trying to find him a transplant, a bone marrow match. And they were not able to find a bone marrow match in the family, and nor were they immediately able to find a bone marrow match anywhere else, but they were continuing to look. And that um, really depressed him. And especially since there were some family issues which didn't help any, and he just got lower and lower, and I think his whole immune system got really compromised. So he was really open to that infection. Um, I certainly didn't understand polycythemia vera well enough when I was first diagnosed. I didn't research it. But what I learned after we lost Al from a presentation that I saw by a PV expert at Johns Hopkins, um, Dr. Jerry Spivak, is that there's some controversy as to how you treat polycythemia vera. So the drug of choice, the protocol of choice, is to phlebotomize and remove the excess blood cells because polycythemia vera produces excess red blood cells. And so you phlebotomize and you remove those excess blood cells and you keep doing that. However, if you don't want to be phlebotomized, if you don't like that procedure, there is a drug, hydroxyurea. And there's a second line drug too, which Al never got to, called ruxolitinib or Jacofi. The problem is that use of that drug can result, well, phlebotomy can result in it too, but it happens about 5 times more often with the drug in the disease progressing. And about 1 to 1.5% of people who are phlebotomized have disease progression, and more than 5% of people who are on the drug have disease progression. So it's a pretty good gamble because 95% of the people are not going to have. And, that's a lot of people. Nonetheless, there are some people like Spivak who don't like to use hydroxyurea and continue to phlebotomize to certain levels and certain standards. And I suspect what happened with Al is that he was amongst those few people who did progress as a result of the hydroxyurea, maybe also because PV can be the result of a cytotoxic environment, and he spent his life breathing in paint fumes and decorator fumes. That's what he did. And, yes, he says, oh, well, I wore a mask, but he probably didn't start wearing a mask till well into the game, and who knows what he breathed in. And so the combination of these cytotoxic the cytotoxic genetic situation, environmental genetic situation, and the hydroxyurea is what caused him to progress. And probably 2 to 3 months before he died, he decided he didn't want to continue the fight because he didn't like being in that situation. It was hard to talk to him. Alexa and Michelle and Sally talked to him probably more than I did because he didn't really like talking to me. It wasn't he didn't like talking to me. I think he was just more comfortable discussing this stuff with the ladies than he was with me. And it just came really, really quickly and unexpectedly, but understandably. Personally, and on behalf of AnCan, we were upset when we learned that the doctors hadn't been talking to each other. The doctors here at the NCI hospital told the family to have the doctors at Mayo call him. The doctors at Mayo, when they left messages, I don't think it got past the nurse's desk, and they weren't aggressive to get to Dr. Palmer. But to be honest, I don't think it would have made a lot of difference unless Dr. Palmer had seen something in her experience that might have been an intervention with the sepsis, but it probably wouldn't have made a lot of difference. It just felt like it was a stone that was unturned, but I don't think it would have made that difference. The other thing that we don't really know, or maybe we'll get a chance sometime in the future to ask Dr. Palmer, is her feelings on people who adversely respond to hydroxyurea. But we see it in other diseases. I mean, we see this a lot in prostate cancer, where excess use of certain drugs is irreversible. There's nothing you can treat the cancer with. It gets too clever, too smart. It outsmarts you. There's nothing you can do. And so we always try to suggest keep the cancer off balance. I mean, in Al's case, maybe going from phlebotomy to hydroxyurea and moving back and forth each year might have made a difference. I don't know. But I do know that I lost a really good buddy, and it's hard. And I'm glad we're all here so we can at least remember him the best way. So that's what I have to say.
Oh, he's going to be greatly missed here in our group, and he really did. He did learn as much as he could about his polycythemia vera, and that brought a lot of joy to many of us because he took it on. And as we all know, it's not easy learning about these things when it's something you had never heard of before in your life. So he really did, and he started participating in different online groups and helping other patients. And I had the pleasure of getting to meet him in person earlier this year, along with, I had already met Rick in person before, but I got to see him again. And we got together in Arizona in January, towards the end of January. And I'm so grateful that that happened. You know, sometimes we put off things or say we're too busy, and I learned a lesson. And I've learned it, in this case, it was in a positive way in that I did get to meet him, but I know there are sometimes things that I have either not been able to get to or not felt well enough, and then I regret it. But this time, I was so happy. Aw, there he is. Yeah, that was not all that long ago. So Sally, I know that you got to speak to him quite frequently in the last few months.
Right. He was concerned because it was about the end of October, 1st of November. They were also talking about a stem cell transplant. And he was terrified of having a stem cell transplant. And we talked a lot about it and, tried to be positive about the whole thing. And he was going to have to get a donor probably for that as well, because they weren't sure that he could produce enough stem cells for it. But we talked 3 or 4 times on it, and he had a lot on his mind, a lot. So
he joined us it's been a couple of months ago on the Blood Cancer Uncensored group that has a call twice a month. And I invited him to join us because one of our members there had stem cell transplant. And they were able to talk and visit on the call and then later offline. But yeah, so he would. I know Al was very, very concerned about the process, and we sense that he shared that with us on our AnCan video calls. So, and I think there was well, yeah, I know they were reaching out to there were still some family members they were not sure were going to be a match or not. So I was hopeful they would find a match somewhere, but even when there's a match, there is some problems with stem cell transplants. So I recall asking Dr. M.D. Anderson, Dr. Michael Keating, what about stem cell transplant? I'm young now. Why don't those of us that are diagnosed have that up front instead of later on as the last resort? And he said because the CLL, it can be very, very deadly as well.
Pitch. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Henry Ford just did the first cadaver stem cell transplant. And so what they're doing now is people like Al or people that have very distinct differential genetic backgrounds, say Puerto Rican, African American, or whatever, what they're doing now is they can actually do stem cell lines based off of stem cell donations of the spinal cords of people with cadavers. And what they're doing now is, I believe it's either out of San Francisco or Phoenix, where what they're doing is they're actually creating stem cell lines now, where what they can do is they're going to eventually create universal donors for stem cell transplants for people that have a difficult time of finding matches, which is going to just change the whole business. So if you look up Henry Ford and cadaver stem cells, they have a whole thing where they had the first successful stem cell transplant based off a cadaver. And she was an African American, I'll say hybrid, but I mean, it was a unique combination. And this is revolutionary. There it is. And it was funny because we did the conference for the leukemia, and I brought it up to the University of Michigan people, and I said, "So, could you explain about the cadaver stuff?" And they said, "We know nothing about it," and they had no idea about it.
Alexa, do you want to say,
This is a big, big deal.
Alexa, you want to say a few words about Al?
Yeah, Michelle and I were actually at the same conference. I was there a year before her, and I got to meet Al in person. That's why I was in the picture, me, Al, and Rick. And um, I got to know Al really well. Al also was a big part of my life. Not many people at AnCan have gotten to meet my father-in-law, first of all, and have gotten to go to one of his concerts, and have gotten to meet Brian. And I've enjoyed. It was a pleasure getting to know Al and getting to walk him home. And I enjoyed all of our conversations that we had, good and bad. And it's very important to me that all of you know that as soon as Rick and I knew something was going on, we were constantly evaluating that situation and trying to figure out ways to help. And we did everything that we could on our end. And Al will always be missed here. And he made such an impact on this group. And yeah, we loved him very much.
Michelle, anything else you want to add? Because you were basically mentoring Al from the very beginning.
Oh, he always had a way to I want to say make me laugh. He was very good about that. And but he also took things very seriously. The other thing I'd like to share is well, you were in on this, Rick, as well, is he was so sweet in that he has a brother who lives in Massachusetts, in a town where my sister was going on vacation, and I was meeting her there, and we all got together, one of his brothers. And Al and I, of course, spoke offline. We're like, oh, wouldn't it be great if they hit it off, and they did not, unfortunately. But if my sister ever knew I was saying this, she would just not be happy, nor his brother, because we didn't tell them that. But I think it was very obvious. But yeah, he was just such a lovely man, and it's still hard to believe. But he had also shared a lot when I got to meet him in person as well. And I was looking forward to hopefully being able to do that again. But he really loved being here with everyone. And I'm trying to figure out, I just want everyone to know, though, that he, as we're all sitting here, and I know that, brings everything very close to home, he did not pass from his blood cancer. he passed from an infection, which just also shows how important it is for us all to take care of ourselves should we get sick. I'm not saying that he did not, but it just, that's what they say with a lot of what the various
Well,
blood we have.
kinda. The two factors, as it was explained to me at the celebration of life, he had no service, by the way. I don't think there's an obituary. He has not been buried. He was cremated, and Bobby has the ashes. But his son-in-law is a EMT fireman, and he was sort of very much driving the bus during those 8 days that Al was in the hospital. And Chris explained to me that there were three factors. There was the sepsis. There was also the fact that he could not make platelets. So he couldn't maintain a high enough platelet level. And there was a problem in this homeostasis because they couldn't get this balance that they needed to stabilize him. And a big part of that was, in fact, down to the platelet issue, which is most likely down to the cancer. So it wasn't just the sepsis alone. The problem, of course, is we don't know what cancer it was that was causing havoc with the platelets. Probably AML, but it could have been something else. And so it was in part the blood cancer. I think if he had just had the sepsis alone and been making a decent level of platelets, they might have been able to treat him, but he wasn't. So.
You would have thought that Mayo would have picked that up in the genetic analysis.
Rick, you're muted.
What Mayo picked up was that he progressed to MDS. And I don't know to what extent they did. I'm sure they did proper genetic sequencing of his blood. I'm certain they must have done because they were pretty thorough. At the same time, he wasn't having platelet issues prior to the chest infection. It wasn't like he'd been wrestling with this platelet issue. I mean, which of the blood cancers cause significant platelet issues?
AML.
AML.
I had it big time.
Oh.
Big time.
Okay. So, and they from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they cannot diagnose AML without doing a bone marrow biopsy.
Correct.
And
right.
And there was no AML present when they did the bone marrow biopsy 3 months ago.
Right, because it will happen for me. It'll happen in 3-4 weeks, and you could be dead in 4 weeks with it. It's that. I mean, it's really aggressive.
So, what can we take away from this? Well, yes, we know sepsis, as I agree with Michelle, is very, very dangerous. We have to be super aware of sepsis. That's certainly a factor. But also that some of these blood cancers do have a life of their own and they do progress. And we need to be very much aware of that progression and do whatever we can to stay on top of it. And I do think that maybe it should be a shared decision with the patient in something like PV as to whether you want to stay on the phlebotomy path or you want to take the hydroxyurea. And I don't know to what extent that Al was aware of that. I think he was aware of it a little bit because Michelle mentioned that she actually talked to him about that. But I don't know if Dr. Palmer ever did. I expect she did. But I got to tell you, I think 9 people out of 10, if they were told that they had a 5% chance of progressing on the drug, they take the drug.
I'd take the risk.
So anyway, we have a meeting to get to, and there are probably I'll leave it to you, Michelle, to go around the room. And I don't know if you have any new people here today. If you do, this isn't how we normally start. I don't think we do. I think everybody's returning. So I'll let you poll the room and see who needs time, and we can move on. But I can tell you that for me, Al's memory will always be a blessing. And hopefully soon I'll start smiling every time I think about him. So I'm going to leave because I want to go over to the Men Speaking Freely group. I suspect that's where Dr. Bill just went. And I'll leave you in the capable hands of the moderators here, and Michelle and Sally and Lynn and Alexa, and see you next month.
Thank you, Rick.
Pleasure.
All right. So we know
Happy
Jerry.
holidays, Rick, and Happy New Year. Bye.
Sorry, Rick. Bye. I know. So a lot of you are looking festive tonight. And we need to find out what's happening with all of you. And also try to, I guess, try to put us more in a holiday spirit. And here I had spoken to, Leslie and I were messaging earlier, and I said, oh, let's cheer each other up. And then we start like this. And anyway, Leslie, I promise things will perk up here. And also Al would like to see that too. So let's see, Leslie, since I said, I know you have, I'm going to go around and see who needs time and then come back to everyone. But Leslie, I believe you need time. So a lot has happened since we've seen you. Okay. And Jerry.
I vented already. I'm good.
We'll get back to you. We have more we need to ask you about, I know. And Mary Lou, would you, I know that you've had some things. We'll come back to you. I'll try to come back to you sooner than later. Lou, do you have news? Yes, we haven't seen you. It's so nice to see you, by the way. Sally?
Yes, I do
Okay.
have news. I had a doctor visit today, so.
Okay. Oh, very timely. All right. Judy?
Yeah.
All right. Lynn? Will you
Doing
need some?
great. Doing great. Nothing to report.
By the way, your hair is looking very full. Looking
I
good.
took my cap off and brushed it around. I'm trying to look like Jim.
Jim, your hair is amazing. Do you need time this evening?
A quick sister update.
Okay. I hope it's a good one. Barbell, it's so good to see you. Middle of the night.
Well, I have to say a few words, not very much because I wasn't here.
Okay. All right. Mary, would you like some time for us to come back and get an update? All right.
Just a little.
Okay. Nancy.
I have a holiday story.
Oh, well, now that sounds good. I hope. So,
Maybe we ought to start with a holiday story.
yeah, I think that's a very good idea, Lynn.
Okay.
Nancy,
All right.
take it away.
I'm good. So I was wrapping gifts, and I think most people recycle gift bags.
It seems like we all should because they're very expensive. So I just, grabbed an old gift bag that had been used before, and I opened it up, and there was a card in it. And it hadn't been opened. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, we completely missed the card that came with the gift. And so I pulled it out, and I wished I'd thought more and waited till my husband got home and made a bigger deal out of it, the mystery and all that, because I had no idea who it was from. And but I didn't. I just kind of rushed in and ripped it open and pulled it out, and it was a Christmas card. And opened it up, and there was the sweetest little note in it telling my husband and I how much this family enjoyed doing life with us. We were in life group together, and just how much they enjoyed being a part of our lives. And turns out it was written by one of my sweetest dear friends who passed away a year ago, September. And so it had to be at least 2 years old. And her name was Terry. She had metastatic 4 breast cancer. And, it's like it just stopped my whole morning with just this bittersweet joy. Here was this kiss from heaven. I couldn't have asked for a sweeter reminder from her, such a sweet friend. And yet at the same time, I miss her dearly. And so it was just precious. And I just want to say that I think that sometimes the veil between here and there is very thin, and that there are all kinds of miraculous. I call it my Christmas miracle, my first one, because I expect many more. And, but I just feel like in the days ahead that there are miracles that we will see. And I love the Jewish saying of let their memory be a blessing. And I hope that someday that's what somebody will say about me. And anyway, that's my story.
That is a very nice story, but I love how you said it's a kiss from heaven. That's just beautiful. Maybe you should be
Should have
putting
ended
pen
with
to
that.
paper as opposed
You
as
should
a.
have ended with that.
I was thinking about that, Jerry. I was thinking about that. But we can come back to Nancy at the end, and by then she may have another Christmas miracle to share because she's expecting many, and we all should. I love that. So I'm just looking around the room. Leslie, I had wanted to hear from you about, I know that you've had some changes and updates for us.
I had a port put in. That was real fun. I didn't expect it. Look at Sally's over there laughing. I thought a port, they just put a thing in your little pocket in your chest here, and oh no. They went in through my vein here into my main artery, the jugular, and put this little thing into it that goes into the port in your chest.
Yeah.
Yes, Michelle, there really is a Santa Claus, but he wasn't at the port place. It was gifts that I didn't expect. They dosed me with Versed twice and fentanyl, which put me into a mind zap for a week afterwards. I was out of it. I couldn't think straight. All I wanted to do was sleep. When I talked, my words would get confused. Everything was confusing for me. And so that was quite the thing. But Michelle, that doesn't mean that will happen to you, because as we all know, everything that's going to go wrong, I'm your gal.
Well, so when you
That's
said
my life.
I was hoping when you said you felt whatever, that was like you were zapped, that maybe it was an enjoyment type of thing, because your posts are hysterical. So I was like, well, maybe that's why your posts are so funny in that period.
I had no idea what was going on. You know, I like to be humorous because that gets me through the day. I like to be humorous for other people because that makes my heart feel good. And like I told you, I was having Christmas cries because even though I'm humorous on the outside for everybody else, sometimes not so much on the inside for me. And so that helps me get through to make humor for other people because then I know that I'm making them feel good. And so that was the other thing I was talking to you about too, that the Christmas cries, because we don't have any family here in Texas. And I raised children that I guess believed after they left the house they were done. And so no Christmas cards, no nothing. So that's hard for people. And when you are dealing with something like this, and they're kind of shy in the information, it makes it holidays hard. I have a wonderful husband, but those are hard things for people to go through at this time of year. So we have to remember to reach out to other people. And I don't know why Christmas cards went to the base buy side. It just people don't send them anymore, and it's what 20 cents per stamp or something, and a card. Draw one and send it. Who cares? But it's the thought that people are thinking of you that helps you get through. And I know a lot of people are shaking their heads, yeah, because what happened to Christmas cards? I mean, give me your address. I'll send you one. I don't have a problem with that. I make them every year and I send them out. And anybody that wants one, give me your address and I'll send it. Because it's important to me for people to be able to get that mail. It's important for people to get that mail. It can't always be bills. And so that's the other thing that I want to, mention is that we're all in this together and this is great. But I got a card in the mail the other day that I was just amazed because it was funny as hell. It was just out of the blue. She sent it to me and it said, "If you were stung by a jellyfish, I'd pee on you. Have a great day." Just out of the blue, you know? And so those kind of things, I mean, it doesn't have to be
But
that bad, but
you know what that means, Leslie?
I do know what it means.
Okay.
But it's still funny, right?
Yeah, because that is
Because
what takes away the jellyfish sting.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still funny. And it was something in the mail that was just not expected, but oh so heartwarming. And I needed it,
You don't
you
think it's
know?
acidic?
What's that?
You don't think it's acidic?
Oh, no.
Think about it, guys. Think about it.
No, I think it was hilarious. Yes. It would be helpful though if she was true to her word if I ever needed it. But yeah, it's things like that that make I think all of us get through a day a lot better. And so we need to remember that even in our busy times, we should always have just a little bit of time to add joy to somebody else's life, you know. And I think you're going to find that it's going to add a little joy to yours too. That's all.
Where are you, Leslie?
What's up?
Where are you?
Texas.
Where?
Do you know where Forney is?
I do. I'm in Frisco.
Okay, I'm in Crandall, which is 7 miles south of
Yeah. Okay.
Forney.
You're not
We
that far.
say Crandall and nobody knows.
So did you go to Houston or to Dallas for your port?
I go down to Houston for everything, basically. Yeah, yeah. I went to Rockwall to the first oncologist, and he misdiagnosed me. I went to UT Southwestern for the second one, and she'd never dealt with my type of MCL before, so she said, I want to refer you to uh, MD Anderson. So that's where I'm at now.
How are you doing on your treatment?
I'm doing good. I was just talking to Lynn about that they've got me on 2 years of treatment, rituximab and calquence.
Oh,
And they're going to check me again in February. I have to go through all the process of bone marrow, PET scan, all the tests all over again in February to see where I'm at. Do they always have to have a bone marrow done?
are you in a clinical trial?
No. I've had 5 so far.
Oh, wow. I've had about that many.
Yeah.
Good times, huh? You just know how to have a really good time, Leslie, between, the port and bone marrow biopsies.
I'm doing
Yeah.
it all. I think
But they have to drug me
after
every
8, you
time.
get a free sandwich.
Oh,
Enjoy the
really?
photo.
We always get a free
Or
sandwich,
maybe
but
the
I don't like them.
non-sugary.
Yeah. My husband and I go get something before we go in for the anything, because I don't like their sandwiches. I'm sorry, MD Anderson, but they're dry and they're nasty.
Enjoy your port. I've had one since 2015.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and they always say the first one is the hardest. And I'm thinking, what? Why would
Yeah.
they do another one if you've already got one?
Oh, well, I have the same one. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had the same one that long.
So then I guess if they're still treating you, then they just leave it in. But if they're not treating you,
You can choose.
okay.
And
I'm not doing it again.
I chose to keep it because it's the best way to have a blood test.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they couldn't find my veins. I was having to go into the specialist to have them find it with the machine. And then even with
It's,
that, they couldn't get them. And
it's much
I just
easier
said,
blood test for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because the treatments are probably, between the treatments and the blood testing, it's just been hard. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. I
I
finally got to
have
the
to have
point
the
where I told them,
ultrasound. I have to
what's
have
that,
the
Sally?
ultrasound vein finder every time.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I went to the
Very, very
port.
deep. Yeah.
That's what they told me. They're deep and they do this, and
Yeah.
too many valves.
The,
So the last
the,
time I went and had one done with them, they said, you tell your doctor you need a port because this is ridiculous.
yeah. Well, the valves can get calloused too from being stuck so many times.
Yeah.
Mary
Yeah.
Lou, you got a port a few months ago, right? Oh, we can't hear you. Huh,
Mary? Oh, Mary Lou?
Mary Lou. Oh, darn.
Maybe turn the volume up.
Alexa, I don't know if you can help.
Why don't you leave and come back in? That usually fixes it.
Are you in the hospital, Mary Lou? We can't hear you.
She
Darn.
said she's in the hospital.
She
Thumbs
nodded
up
her
if
head.
you're in the hospital, Mary Lou.
Oh,
Can't hear it all.
She's
yeah, I
trying to
can't.
do something with it, but it keeps going out. Yeah. I was trying to read what she was
She'll
saying.
come back in. Are
Yeah.
you a good lip reader?
Well, you could, if you look really close, you could kind of see what she was trying to say. She said she was trying to do something, and it kept. But she's been coming in and out the whole time.
So did you say you're on a trial, Leslie?
No.
You're not. Okay, because I would try to attend if it was a trial, I would have tried to attend when they present the abstract to ASH. Is anyone here on a trial or have they been on a trial that will be presented this year? Lou, which trial are you on? Now you're muted.
I think the information from the ALLO that I did November 22nd is going to be presented. The one I am just now qualifying for is the GPRC5D target CAR T. So I think they'll be presenting information because this is a phase 2, and I think they have phase 1 information that may be shared. So I'm not positive about what I'm trying to get into right now.
Do you
But I
know
think they are sharing the allo information.
was your doctor the principal investigator on Allo?
In Kansas City, but not throughout the nation.
Okay.
I think one of the first for the allo was City of Hope in Southern California.
Yep. Okay.
Someone in England told me mine was Carmel. It's called the Carmel study or something. I'd never heard of it before.
Carmel?
Yeah, in
That's a nice
England,
name.
that's what they said it was called.
That's a very nice name.
Yeah, so I don't know. But they were in England too, so maybe they have different stuff going on over there.
Well, they would be, there are multi-center trials that there are some that are global, but yeah, it would all depend on if it's already been approved. Oh, did Mary Beth come back? There she is. Mary
Mary
Beth.
Lou's back.
Mary Lou, I mean, sorry, yeah. Let's see if we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Beautifully.
That's all right.
Yay.
Are you in the
Anyways, I'm
hospital, Mary Lou?
staying at the Homewood Suites for the week. I'm going in every day for a clinical trial that I started on Monday. It's making me very sick, I'll be honest with you. That's why I was laying down here for a while. It's Vidasa and venetoclax. I just think with all the other pills I'm taking, it's just not agreeing with my stomach, shall we say.
What's the first drug?
Sorry, I can't hear anybody. This is
Oh, they were
frustrating.
asking what the first drug was? By Gaza?
Or Gazyva?
Okay, now I got you. Now I can hear. Now I can hear.
The first drug?
Yeah, repeat your medications again that you're taking.
Venetoclax and Vidasa is what they're giving me. It's a maintenance dose. So I get it for 5 days and then I'm off for 42 weeks. And I take the
42 weeks.
venetoclax for 42 weeks. Sorry, 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
Mary Lou,
But
what do
it's
you have?
I have MDS.
Thank you.
So,
Because I had venetoclax for my myeloma.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
And I
people.
took venetoclax before, but for some reason that Vidasa is doing me in.
Did they ramp you up on the venetoclax?
No.
No, actually, because of one of the medications I take to lower my immune system, I only can take 200 milligrams. Eventually, I'll go up to 400 once I stop the other medication.
Yeah, they started me at 400 and they did no ramp up.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
you're an anomaly there, Sally.
And it didn't work, so I'm not worried about it.
I
Well,
started,
I was on 400 myself back in March when I started taking venetoclax. But because of the drug that I have to take, they can't give me the 400.
Nancy, you were ramped up, right, on venetoclax?
I wasn't because I was I was taking chemo, so I already had the tumor lysis was down.
The thing I remember about my venetoclax is that they really set aside time to remind me to drink lots of water. And I don't know if that's because, but I think that was because it was the drug, that it was like 96 ounces a day or something. It was pretty
That's a
crazy.
lot of water.
It's a
A
lot
lot of
of water.
water.
Probably
And
hard on the,
I
probably hard on the
I can't
kidney.
drink it. I can't drink it. It's I'm so nauseous all the time that I'm having a hard time eating and drinking.
Try
I've
Propel.
lost 34 pounds since I started my journey here.
Wow.
Yeah, since the stem cell transplant, I lost 34 pounds. So, I'm starting to look a little gaunt, shall we say. But they just keep giving me more anti-nausea pills, but they don't seem to cut it.
They've tried different ones.
Yeah, today they added Ativan. Oh my God.
And
What, it's a
Zofran.
common one. I can't even think of the name.
Zofran.
No, I can't take Zofran. Constipates me terribly. It's another one. Compazine.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any things that have helped them for nausea?
Zofran and Compazine.
Yeah.
Ellie, do you have any essential oils or tinctures that would help?
Oh, I do. I could go over and look in my cupboard.
Ginger sometimes helps.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
I just have the ginger candy.
Do you have the chewy ones or the hard ones?
I have the hard one.
I found the chewy ones for some reason. I don't know if it was also the act of chewing helped. But I found that they have them at Trader Joe's, and they may even have them at the Dana-Farber gift shop. They did at one time anyway. I found that those, and again, it might be the chewing as well that helps along with it. I found that helped. And also there was a particular gum. I'll have to see if I have any to go back and find it. And that also seemed to calm that down. But does anyone have any other ideas?
Do sweet things make you sick?
I haven't eaten sweets since I started this journey. So,
Because this is an old time ginger ale with a red licorice straw, and you just take little tiny sips. Because the
really?
ginger in the ginger ale
It's
and
tough though.
licorice
I'm really
helps your
sensitive
stomach.
to sweets.
What's
Sweets are
that, Terry?
sweets
Wait.
are highly exasperated throughout this. I found I couldn't, everybody was sending me all kinds of sweets and bread and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Well, I couldn't eat it because it was the sense of sweets all through chemotherapy and all through stem cell was just so pronounced. And I was a
right.
sweet guy. I love sweets
Well, you don't
before.
eat the licorice, you just use it as a straw.
No, I know. I'm just saying from all the sweets and everything.
Oh,
Just everything
sure.
sweet is tough to eat. And everything's so sugared in the diet.
Huh. Can you drink ginger ale, Mary Lou? Does that help?
Nope. The only thing that helps with me a little bit is Diet Coke.
I was just going to say,
Oh,
Coke, do you stir it up? So
No,
back
Have you
in,
tried have you tried kombucha?
no.
You might
Can you
want to
have
try
that?
kombucha. Because I have a lot of GERD and stuff all through
Hmm.
graft versus host and all that stuff. And I found kombucha helps because it helps with the probiotics and it helps you burp a little bit. And it's a natural tea and it's organic and everything. And you might want to try a bit of it, just like maybe a quarter of a container. Don't drink a whole thing, but just try a
Right.
quarter or a half and try that. There's
Okay.
different flavors. You can get it at Kroger or any of your grocery stores, but you
Yes,
might
yeah. I've seen it, just never bought it.
yeah, they have it at like, I'm trying to think what's close to
health food
you.
stores, Whole
They have
Foods,
all
Trader
these Stop and
Joe's.
Shop.
Trader
It's everywhere.
Joe's, yeah.
But you might want to try that.
Target is
You
near
should try
you,
that.
Star Market. There's a Star Market right down the street on Boylston, and they
Oh,
would
okay.
have it, and Target has it, and they're also down the street on the way to Boylston if you were headed into Boston,
Yeah.
and you take
Okay.
Boylston Street, which
Because
is right,
it gives you a little bit of probiotics, but not like the mother of all probiotics,
and
where
it's
it
not
just messes up your
sweet.
system and everything. It's just a little bit, It's like a yogurt. It's like maybe a supersized yogurt for
Okay.
probiotic, but it's good.
Yeah.
But
I think
dairy's not good
it
for
helps.
nausea.
So Mary Lou, an
I guess
old-fashioned remedy that my father was a pharmacist, and he he had had like at one point a soda fountain in his drugstore, like an old-fashioned soda fountain, but
Yeah.
some doctors would prescribe Coca-Cola, but the syrup of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Or if you could not get the syrup, you take a Coca-Cola and you stir it. You get all the bubbles out before you drink it. And that does settle
Oh,
your stomach if you can stand it. I mean, you're saying, I don't know if that would be too sweet for you, but that
yeah.
would be like the original Coca-Cola. I don't know if
My
the,
mom used to buy the
My mother
concentrate to
used to
give it
get,
to us
get a
kids.
You
Remember
can
the
get
concentrate?
of Coke.
Way back.
you can get Coke syrup
you can.
at
Right.
most pharmacies, and
Oh,
my
still.
friend who was a visiting nurse, and then she directed the hospice program in a town I used to live in, and she always would say for upset stomachs, she would always tell her patients and for friends, she would say teaspoon of Coke syrup and, you know, some ice chips, I think she said. So ice chips with Coke syrup and then drink that. And I did it with my daughter, Heather, when she was little or younger and would have, throwing up or upset stomach and it worked.
I remember my mother doing it when I was a little girl.
You
I
don't need a
remember
prescription for it.
paregoric.
I'm sorry, what?
I remember paregoric.
Oh,
My mother
Right.
used to
that
give
Yeah.
it
off.
to me when I was sick,
My
and it
mom
was
always
liquid.
did that.
Blech.
I guess Coke syrup tasted better.
Much, much better.
So, Mary Lou, I don't know if the pharmacy at Dana-Farber would have that, but it's worth a try, or to ask your, when you go in tomorrow, ask them about it, or maybe just get, if you can get original, if you can't get the syrup, original Coca-Cola. I know they now have it, how it's labeled, because
Yeah.
I think that doesn't have corn syrup and fructose or whatever that stuff is. So
I'm sure you can order it on Amazon. They have everything.
Oh,
it has,
probably.
I'm gonna look it up right now. So you're not feeling well. What, and this other drug, what you said, it's a maintenance drug for, is that for when you have a transplant?
Well, it's a clinical trial. It's a phase. She said it's the last phase, so so I don't have relapse. They're hoping to prevent relapse. So that's why I'm doing it. But it's a year or two that
Is-
I have to do it.
And is the end result a cure?
Supposed to be a cure, yes. The goal is to go after the remaining cells if there's any there and get rid of them. So my last biopsy was good. My mutated genes were gone and the disease was gone, so I was in remission. So this is just the
Wow.
next step.
Do you know the name of the trial?
I don't. I know it's venetoclax, azacitidine, but I don't know the number. There's a number to it.
So this is its own trial, as you had said, after a
Yeah,
stem cell transplant.
it's a Dana-Farber trial. Dr. Garcia, Jacqueline Garcia is the one who discovered it or found it or worked on it.
So basically, it's two treatments. Then you go through stem cell, that's its own, and now there's this other, and then there's this as a trial, or is the stem cell part of the trial?
Nope, this is the trial.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll see if it's being presented or not. It may not be, but it may be. 7,950 abstracts across hematology are being presented.
Wow.
Wow.
Good
There's
news.
1,214 on myeloma.
Isn't that amazing?
It's terrific. I just think it's fabulous. All of these researchers working
But
towards
now
finding
we've got to
cell
get general
cures.
oncologists to read them.
Oh, but what you do is you use artificial intelligence to draw across lines and everything. to digest that stuff and to start drawing parallels that you don't have to rely on doctors to read at night and in their spare time to do. And that's the key. And that'll be the cool thing. Watch.
Michelle, who will you be reporting for? Patient Power or?
Patient Power now, and potentially the patient story in January. But I'll be doing a lot of written reports right now, but I'm going to try to do some videos for daily, posting them on my own. But I'll be doing a bunch of different stories for Patient Power, but like, some Q&As of the HUDIS CLL trials for CLL and SLL, some overall trends like they are, Jerry, to what you were saying. Last year they talked about using AI. This year there are some abstracts being presented from using AI, which is, I believe, the first time that that's happening at ASH. And they're, to see what's happening with it. Leslie, I see you just posted something on Health Tree. They usually go as well. Is that what you were putting there? I usually see them at ASH.
Yeah, they're having a webinar, and they sent me a thing for it, and I didn't know if anybody else would be interested in it.
Yeah. Do you know when if they're doing that from ASH or after?
It's December 11th at 5 p.m.
Yeah, that's the day following, and that's a lot of my stuff will be coming out the 10th. I usually do things right from there with Patient Power videos, but
Okay.
this is how they're doing it this year. So, and is that an MCL for MCL that you just posted, or
It's
every
MM? It's multiple myeloma, leukemias, lymphomas, and MPNs.
They're doing that all in that webinar?
Yes.
Well, Health Tree has just started really getting involved with CLL.
I know.
They've just posted their long thing that I actually helped edit on that.
It's great that you're doing that, Judy. That's wonderful. Yeah, the more information out there, the better for patients, I find. I know I forgot to speak with Jenny about what they're doing, if they're doing anything for CLL this year at ASH. For video, for video reports. Because I know Cindy Shimolinski was doing the multiple myeloma ones last year. So, but maybe they're going to do this webinar to take care of a lot of it. There's just so much at ASH. It's almost impossible to cover it all. But there's also another very interesting, I was saying, like overall trends, in that there's, in a couple of years, they did something on this as well, but diet and cancer. Can there be a link? So that's something I'm hoping it's not going to be at the same time as something else that I'm reporting on, but I find that's pretty, finally, fascinating on that. And it's being called out as being one of the more interesting topics. So that's good. But anyway, if there's anything in particular, any if you want me to look at, just message me. We're also sharing addresses in the chat, if anyone didn't see it, with addresses for Christmas or holiday cards, so that we can all be sending them to each other. And like Leslie said, let's bring cards back. I love that. But anyway, so we also have, I know that, let's see, spoke to Mary Beth. Oh, Mary Lou. I don't know why I keep wanting to call you Mary Beth. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us? You said that you're in remission. That's terrific. I did not want to overlook that.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So hopefully this keeps me in remission. Hopefully I can get through it.
I know it sounds like you've gone through a lot.
Yes, yes. I was actually hospitalized a few weeks ago too. I had severe neck problems. I couldn't move my head right, left, up, down. It was like it was locked in place. So I ended up going to We were going to go to the emergency room. I called my team and they said go to the emergency room, but my husband felt more comfortable just driving me right to Boston. And I went to Brigham's and Women's. And I think it was tech neck because I read 19 chapters in one sitting and my head was down. I think that irritated my neck. But I have extremely severe neck arthritis, so now I have to go see a spinal surgeon next week.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like
Did they say
one thing
anything
after
about,
another.
did they mention anything about Den's crown?
No,
Okay.
no. But I will say that I don't think I could take anything more right now. I'm just hoping they're able to give me some physical therapy and I'd be good to go for a while because to have spine surgery now would put me over the deep end.
Well, let's hope that you don't need surgery. That maybe, I know, I was going to say physical therapy, but you probably don't want to have to add that on because that would be a few times a week.
Yeah, but they would come to the house, so that would be okay because I really can't go out yet in public. I'm still isolated.
Make sure if
Um,
they come to your house, you tell them you want to be first appointment in the morning.
Mornings are not my best time of day, so
Yeah, but
late
you don't want
morning,
them
early
coming to your
afternoon.
house. You don't want them coming to your house after they've been to a bunch of other people first and then come to you.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's what I did.
Is that what you did? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's true too. So I'll see what he says next week. It's funny how you can go out to all these doctor's appointments and sit with people that, I try to sit away from people, but sometimes they just come near you. But you can't go see your grandchildren.
Oh, and
so
the end
Christmas,
put your purse in the next seat.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
so for Christmas, does this mean you're going to be, and over the holidays, you'll be sequestered?
Yep.
So even with
Yep.
masks, you can't see them.
No. No. I can see my daughter, but she actually is going to go to my nephew's house, so that's fine.
Sorry to hear
She'll
that.
be,
It's like being back in the height of the pandemic.
yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I know. I had to fill out a survey yesterday. They gave me a survey to fill out, and some of the questions they asked, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You know, do you feel joyful? What the hell is there to be joyful about? I'm stuck in the house. I can't go anywhere. I mean, how joyful do you think I'm going to be?
Did you write
You
that?
know, um, I put not somewhat. I'm joyful somewhat, but not. I mean, I feel so isolated. I belong to these groups of people that do things, and I'm out of the loop now. It's been over 3 months, so it's like I'm out of the loop. So, they call in the beginning, and now they just, oh well. But that's all right. This too will pass.
I yeah, that is what seems to happen, right? People seem to forget us when it's been a
Yes,
while and they don't understand that we will be back, right? It's just a little
little blip in the road.
hiatus. Well, please stay in touch, and I hope that you can plan something uh, at least fun for you and your husband, or have him plan it for you is actually what should happen.
Yeah. Well, that won't, but that's okay. Yeah,
Can
we'll
they
we'll do
Zoom?
something. Go for a
Can you
Christmas
Zoom with,
ride at nighttime, see lights.
Yeah, that would be fun.
can you
Yeah.
Zoom with your family?
Yes, I probably could Zoom with them. Yeah, because they'll all be together. Yeah. So,
Barbell, you look like you're fading fast. I think we need to speak with you before you fall asleep here.
No, it's not that I fall asleep, but when I sit up for a longer time, I get a back pain, and
Oh,
so it's
mhm.
better to
I mean,
lay down.
it's only 3:20 a.m. for you.
Yeah, I know.
Goodness.
But it's not the sleep that I got enough sleep. That's not the problem. But sitting up for long it's a bit of an issue. Uh, well, I have to say I was in the rehab for 6 weeks, and every day you have to do 3 or 4 exercises. You have to lift weights and walk and go on a vibration plate, all kinds of things. And it was 6 weeks. That was a long time. I got home on the 28th of November, and I can manage here somewhat. I get Meals on Wheels sometimes, not always, so I can manage at home. Well, my sons don't live here, so I have to manage it, and it works. What I also have an issue with is the nausea, and I think it might have to do also with the other drugs I had to take, like the alcorinol. Uh, I don't think that was too good for me. I'm still fighting it somewhat. It can be really bad with the nausea. You don't have an appetite. You want to drink something, but then afterwards you feel bloated. So it's not so easy. I've had 3 treatments, and I think this is the hardest one. Definitely, I was always in life danger when I went to the clinic, and they never thought I would make it. But here I am. So I'll have to see what comes out. I'll have another blood check on the 11th of December because my platelets and my hemoglobin are still fluctuating some. It's not dangerous, but they're going up and down. I don't know. They played a cucaracha or something like that. So I hope they will stabilize a bit more. But
Barbell, what medication
yeah,
did you say was
huh?
what medication did you say? I didn't hear you on the one that
Allopurinol, I think that's
oh
what it is.
your allopurinol. Yeah, I always say that wrong.
Yeah, but I'm off it now. I took it off because I don't have that many cancer cells anymore, so there is no risk for tumoritis, and I'm doing okay without it. But I still have this nausea, and I'm trying to move the intake of the venetoclax to the evening. It's perhaps better because otherwise my entire day is spoiled. But I'll have to see. I'm on 400 milligrams. Oh yeah, so we'll see what comes out. My hemoglobin has really picked up. It was 5, and now it's between 9 and 10, going back and forth always a little bit. The platelets drop, but it's not from the hematopoiesis in the bone. Must be something else. Maybe a virus which was released, a latent one that attached to platelets. I had this before. Then it drops, but it picks up really fast too. And I have a feeling this is happening today also. So we'll see. When the next test comes, I will know.
Well, on with venetoclax, I've heard other patients share that their platelets go down at different times while they're on it. Has your doctor mentioned that?
Well, no, but I didn't have this issue before. And I'm on venetoclax for quite a while now. I started in June, July, August, September, now October, and actually it's dropped in end of November to
Yeah.
83, but now it's already 87 again. So it means it's picking up again, like it did before. So I have to see what comes out, but I'm not. I have no bleedings or anything, So it's not good, but it's not dangerous or so. So
What I was
I'm
told,
not really worried.
what I was told day before yesterday is they don't really worry until it gets down to about 40 on your platelets.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I
Maybe
didn't know what the other. I had no idea how low it has can go, but they
at
weren't
that,
worried. They just said they only said that You have to watch it. You'll have to watch it because they did blood tests also in the rehab. Because my cancer is very aggressive and it can change fast. So this is what my doctors at the clinic recommended because I was going there every 3 months, but it's not sufficient, they found. So I have at the rehab, they tested me, and now at home, a doctor comes to my house to test me. Depending on how the results are, we make an appointment. I have my next checkup in January at the University Clinic in Ulm, and then I'll see what they will say. But it's really a fight, I tell you. I mean, my first therapy started in 2017. You have to be really strong to make it through all this time. Always another surprise. Actually, I went in because I had bacteria in my blood, Staphylococcus aureus, which is a dangerous one. And then they found that I had CLL cells again, not many in the blood, but the bone marrow was full, 90%. And well, I needed treatment immediately. And then they started me on, first they fought the bacteria, because with this bacteria you cannot start venetoclax. And then they started it, and well, the bacteria are gone, but my blood work is not great, but it's not that bad. I think the last time was 9.1, but it keeps going up and down. It was already 11.8 also, so don't know what it's doing. Always a surprise. But you can see, even if if nobody believes you make it. My doctors didn't, my relatives didn't. In fact, my sons already were clearing my apartment a little bit because they thought I would never return. But I'm here. I can do pretty much everything here. I just have to take a slower pace. I can walk up the stairs, okay, but downstairs it's still a little bit of a problem. So I'll have to see. I probably need some more training.
I'll trade you.
But I was a,
I can go down, but I can't go up.
oh really?
Yeah.
Give me
My
some,
thigh muscle,
you know,
my neuropathy is affecting my thigh muscles now, and I
you
can't.
know that she told me a hint how you can get up easier. You can, if you have a rail, you can pull yourself up with 2 hands.
Yeah, I can go up. I
That
just can't go down. I mean, yeah, I can't go down. I mean, I can go down, but I can't go up.
Yeah, that's for going up. For going
Yeah.
down, you can't do that. You have to be careful
You can
so
sit
your
down and
knees
go
will
down
reach.
on your butt.
Yeah, I have a lot of stairs here, around the 50 at least. But I made it back home, you know. They took me by taxi and I walked it up, but of course I needed a strong arm. But other than that, I walked up. But it's not like I can do it daily, walk up and down. I'm too scared, because if I fall, that's not a good idea. I fell before, but I never broke anything. I just had a many, many blue marks. And they
So
were
how,
bad too.
when do you think you'll be leaving there then and going back home?
I am back home.
Oh,
Yes.
you're back home. I'm sorry, I missed
Yes,
that you're
I am.
back home.
Yeah, I am back home.
Oh,
I
that's
am back
great.
home since end of November, and I'm actually doing all by myself. Except I have sometimes Meals on Wheels, but not every time because sometimes their food is too fatty. So I only select certain meals that I take, and other than that, I eat something else. I have a natural shop which delivers, natural food, mandarins, oranges, apples, uh, grapes, everything that you want, then milk products, everything you need. And they bring it to the door too. And also the drinks, because they are super heavy. You know, when I get some water or some lemonade, I wouldn't be able to carry it even if I was healthy. So they bring it up. That's okay. You don't have all these stairs because you probably live on the ground floor.
Well, it's great that you're back home and you're actually looking very good. I know you're saying that um, you're still going through so much, but you're looking good now. Do you feel better during the day?
I look better. I look better, definitely. I looked
Better.
awful before. Oh, my sons, they were so worried. So, well, I couldn't help it.
Did they come and visit to help and just check on you?
Just one of them, because the other one said he can't bear it. But you know, they had taken me to another clinic and they were awful. They were absolutely awful. They really scared the hell out of them. And he has two little children to take care of, and his wife has a backbone issue. So he says he can't take it. It's too strenuous for him. And the other one, he does my paperwork mostly. We have all kinds of paperwork. It's called the German bureaucracy. You probably have also a lot of bureaucracy to do, but it's really bad, you know, for someone who is sick, and he also has to manage all this bureaucracy.
Hmm.
Sometimes I say I just want to be sick one time, you know, and not having to do all these things.
But they won't let you.
They won't let me. No, they won't let
Maybe that'll help keep you. That's what keeps you young, Barbell.
me. Probably, but it's a lot of stress, you know. It's my brother, my son, and his mate, and me, and we call ourselves the three detectives because we have always have to find out where the problem is.
Well, we appreciate you being here. I still don't know how you stay up this late. I'm falling asleep over here myself, and it's only 9:30 here.
Well,
But are you always up this late?
sometimes, I'm a night owl, so to speak, and a lot of the support groups are in the evening or late at night. It's not just AnCan. I have one in Long Island that is at 1 o'clock in the morning, and blood cancer uncensored that is at 8 o'clock in the evening. That's not so late. So they come in different times.
Well, thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you looking even better next month.
Okay, I'll try.
um, let me see. Who else do we? Lou. Hi.
Hi. I want to say to Barbell, every time I see um, either on Facebook or some of the other websites showing pictures of the villages in Germany, I'm always thinking, oh, I wonder if Barbell gets to see these beautiful lights or go to these little craft places along the streets and do those kinds of things. I always imagine that you and I are walking down the streets together.
Yeah, we'll see if I can still make that. But I've been in the house for a long time because when the pandemic started, that was it for me. I had to stay home because of getting infected with in- getting infected, and
Oh,
this is
you
a
know
long
what?
time already.
We can do it virtually.
Yep, exactly. And I still have the pictures too, so I can look at them. I have a beautiful apartment though. I have a beautiful view out of the bedroom. There is our woods. I see all the trees and everything. And on the other side, I can see the city with all with a castle on top and different valleys. So I have a beautiful view here.
Wow. I want to come and see it.
Well, you can, no problem.
Marbell,
Yeah,
what city?
yeah. We haven't been to Germany, so that would be a definitely on our list of places to go. So
Marbell, what
They will
anyway,
city?
like it. They like the
where?
German food most of the time.
Yes, yes, I would like to. I would like to do that. What were you saying, Sally?
I just want to know what city she's in.
Eislingen, it's close to Ulm.
I can't hear you. What?
It's in the south of Germany. It's not a big town. It has only like 26,000 inhabitants,
What's the name
but
of
it's
it?
it's really nice. Huh?
What's the name
Geislingen.
of it? Leipzig?
Geislingen.
Oh, okay. I
No,
went to
wait a minute. I
Limburg
think.
all the time, and it's one of the ones where the castle's on the hill and the um,
Oh, we
beautiful,
have all kinds of
beautiful
castles.
old city. So I loved Limburg.
That sounds, I don't know. It just
Put it
sounds
in the
perfect
chat
for
if
Christmas.
I didn't pronounce it right.
I would do it in a heartbeat if I could. Um, just a quick update. I had a doctor visit today. It was actually the 1 year anniversary type visit since and tests from my allo that I had last November. So it was kind of to not close the books on that allo, but that clinical trial, but also to talk about what's next. And I think I had mentioned a few months ago that I was looking toward possibly participating in another clinical trial. It would be my third CAR T, each one of them different in some way. So my first one was what became a BECMA CAR T, and that was a clinical trial, and that was 2019. And then last year, of course, I did the allo. And then this year, what we're looking at, possibly starting in the next few months, is the quintessential clinical CAR T clinical trial. It's called Quintessential. And it is targeting the GPRC5D target on the outside of the myeloma cell. Most of the treatments, or all of the treatments that I've had so far, have gone after the BCMA target that's on the outside of the myeloma cell. So this is a new target. And it was recommended by both doctors, the one that's in charge of the clinical trial here at our hospital, and then also my myeloma specialist. So anyway, I've been doing. You have to have a 10 on your kappa, light chain, to qualify before they'll start, doing the qualifying tests. You have to jump through the first hoop. So I've had over 10 3 months ago. Then it went down to 9.78, and then it went back up to 10 3 weeks ago. And so my doctor said, "Oh, I think we need another month over 10 and on the labs." And so I was disappointed when I heard that, when I had sent a message to his team. And then when I went in to see him, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, he said, "Nope." He said, "Let's go. Let's go for it." And so he recommended me for it. And my visit today, Dr. Shanae, we got to talk about it. And so my kappa score today on my labs was 13.58. So I'm well over the 10, uh, which is kind of good news, bad news, because that just means in 3 weeks, my kappa score has increased quite a bit. I mean, quickly. And up until this point, it hasn't been increasing this much. So, but I look at it, I'm a glass half, full kind of person. So I look at it like it's a good thing because now I can start qualifying for this clinical trial, and very grateful that it's available. It's an option, and years ago it wasn't. So I'm I've been on this journey for 11 and a half years, so I am a very big proponent of clinical trials. So if anybody asks me, I'll say go for it. You don't know until you try. If it might be the perfect, you know, treatment for you. You just don't know. And it's not just about you. When you do a clinical trial, it's not just for you. It's for all those other people that, in the next phases, that will give it a try, and then eventually out to the general, public, those of us, that may not be in a clinical trial. So there's altruistic, reasons to do clinical trials as well. Um, I wanted to mention, uh, you know, I think it's hard sometimes for people to find joy. I know that that was kind of mentioned in some comments. That when you're sick, or when you're in the hospital. I was in the hospital last Thanksgiving. So I think I joined the group in my hospital gown last year. But finding the joy, and the joy is we have more drugs to attack, the blood cancers that are out there now. There are clinical trials that are available that have never been available, before. Those are things that we can find joy in that and be thankful and grateful because it's on the way to a cure. These things are going to help the doctors, the researchers, find a cure for us. So if we're willing, to go that extra mile and try a clinical trial, then, we're doing our part. I know it's not for everyone, but I really, really think it's the answer, to find a cure. So I'll get off of my little, platform and just
Clinical.
say I am finding the joy in this. It's that time of the year that I think, if we can focus on that, it'll help us make it through.
Yes, Lou, for those of us that are not in clinical trial, the drugs we're taking, or the ones we were taking, those were proven by clinical trial by people before us, in my case, like Dr. Brian Kaufman, who was on the ibrutinib trial. And we're indebted to them for they're kicking the can down the road. And when we get there, the can is upright and ready for us to take a helping out of it. So
That's right. And this will be it now that I'm being put forward for this next clinical trial. This will be number 5 for me, my
Wow.
fifth clinical trial. So, and I told them today, they said, okay, the next visit, we'll have your paperwork, if your numbers today come back over 10, we'll have your paperwork and things for the next visit. And I said, you can have the paperwork ready because I'm ready. So
And you
let's
look so good for going through all this. I'm totally always amazed. Not only is your attitude good, but you physically look good.
don't you think they kind of help each other? Go
I tell
hand
you,
in.
for somebody that's 25 years old, you look great.
Hey, that's right. That's right. You'd be amazed at how old I really am.
But I don't know anybody else who's gone through so many clinical trials than you.
I don't know. I've never put it up for a question. So,
I know you
I
might.
was told today by Dr. Shanae, who's in charge of the clinical trial that I went through and the new one. She said I was the longest in remission of the allo so far.
Oh, good.
Good.
I
You
know. I
didn't
thought,
take it that
okay,
long, right?
I didn't know that.
And yet, look at you
Okay.
got the best remission.
Yeah, I need some kind of a little ribbon or something, don't I?
I think you're going to be in the Guinness World Book of Records for the amount of clinical trials.
I know. And I had a bone marrow biopsy on Tuesday, and it was number 29.
Oh my,
Oh my,
and I'm complaining about 9.
How do you,
You know,
how do you have
29.
any hip left?
I
How do
said
you have
to
any
the
hip
I
left?
said to the people, I said,
I mean, there's
next
no
time I
hip.
think I deserve a cake.
Do you have
You
any
know,
bone? Do you have any
charity.
bone left in your hips?
Yeah. What do you, I mean, it's got to be Swiss cheese.
Uh,
How many did you say? Did I hear that right?
29.
29.
Yeah,
29.
but I mean, they do a finger and then a draw. And I mean, I've had 9, and they came back and said, "Oh my God, you've got a severe bone loss in your hip." I said, "No shit, no kidding. Take a piece of
I want to
wood,
hear what
drill,
Mary's up
drill
to.
one, drill something the size of your finger into your hip,
Swiss
into that
cheese. Swiss cheese.
drywall, and see how that wall holds up."
No, it grows back. They
No
assure
kidding, I
me.
got bone loss. Jesus, I can't imagine. How did you do it?
In 11 and a half years, 29. And like I said, I've had 4
Yeah, but you
clinical
don't.
trials.
But the deal
When you
is
do a
you don't
clinical
grow bone
trial,
like that again.
when you
You know
do a
what I mean?
clinical trial, they do lots of tests.
You know what I
So,
mean? No, I mean you don't grow bone like that. I get injections. I get all this crap.
It
You
grows
just
back.
get spongy mass. You don't get bone.
Well, that's only 3 a year, 11 years.
Yeah.
Well,
So
keep
well.
going. Keep going, Lou. We're cheering for you.
I will. I will.
We
I can't
are.
imagine it. Honest to God.
Mary, what's going on with you?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I went to my infusion treatment and I had a low grade temperature, so they told me I might not want the treatment and I should go see my doctor. So I went to the doctor and they wheeled me across to the emergency room and then they admitted me and I had pneumonia with sepsis and it affected my heart.
Oh,
And then it was only 4 days and they were able to let me go. So I went home and I had some at home PT and a nurse check on me. And then yesterday saw my myeloma specialist and he said that my myeloma is under control and looked good. And
Good.
we talked about the IVIG to help with the immune system.
Ron.
And that's about it.
How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling really good. It took a long time to get my strength back. It was amazing, but I'm feeling good now.
Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah,
you
Get up
sound.
her septus in 4 days is good, though. I mean,
right, right.
Yeah, that shows right
It's a
there. You're doing well.
it's a rural hospital, and like my family that came to visit, they kept saying stuff like, "Well, the doctors don't seem very certain about what the problem is," because so that's a bad thing about living out in the country. They couldn't find what bacteria was causing it, or they just gave you some kind of general antibiotics. But whatever it was, it worked. I got out of there.
So happy to hear that.
Right, me too.
You should have called me. I could
Oh,
have come up.
oh. Well, thanks.
Mira, you sound very good. You sound stronger, you know?
I, I am. I'm doing quite well.
That's great to hear. All this good news here. That's wonderful. So, are you on treatment still?
Yes, I get Kyprolis infusion every 2 weeks and Darzalex injection once a month and Exgeva once a month.
and feeling good while on all that. That's really good to hear.
Yep.
Well, this is wonderful news. And do you still have your bird? Because I don't hear your bird.
Well, he must be sleeping. I turned the lights out and in a different part of the house.
Well, I've got a sleeping cat, so
Oh,
he wanted out. I put him out. It's 12 degrees, and he
oh
was
my
out there about
gosh.
4 minutes.
Oh,
So he's back in here in front of the fireplace.
12 degrees.
Yes, it was 11 this morning when I got up.
It's gotten much colder here in the last, say, 36 hours, but
Sunday's supposed to be 50, so I'm happy about that.
I rode outside in it today in a
Mm.
fat bike. It was
you rode your
20
bike.
degrees this afternoon.
What was it, Jerry?
20 degrees. I rode outside in the woods, on a fat bike. It
Got to
was
keep
cold.
moving. Well, Mary, thank you for being here. This is really nice news from you. Judy, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I went to the doctor on Tuesday and had probably the best blood count that I've had in, I can't even remember when. I can't remember when my hemoglobin has been normal. Uh, Low normal, but still it was in the normal range. But it's been a long time since I had that. I only had uh, uh, high LDH and high, low, yeah, high LDH and low uh, potassium were the only two things that were out of range, which was amazing from what I've had. Because 2 weeks ago I had low platelets, I had low hemoglobin, a low red blood count. The only thing I've eaten a couple of times steak in those 2 weeks, and I'm thinking that red meat does help with the hemoglobin and that kind of thing. The other thing after that, then yesterday I got Pemgarda infusion. It's an hour infusion, and then they have you observe you for 2 hours. But I had no reaction at all, and I really haven't had any reaction today, which, after taking a COVID shot and being sick, it's marvelous. I think it is repeated in about 3 months. You repeat the Pemgarda again, but that's to protect from the COVID, and I'm just
Does it
hoping does its work.
are there any other types of side effects other than immediate that Pemgarda can have?
You can later have some of the same side effects like that you'd have from vaccines or things. But I asked the nurse when I was there, I said, have you had anybody report that they've had any reaction after? And they haven't. And they haven't had anybody that has had a reaction in getting the Pemgarda. So that was good news, I thought.
My doctor was is reticent about it, and I haven't seen her in a while, so I haven't been able to ask if she still is and why.
Well, Dr. Awan has started recommending, I think most of his patients get it. So uh, it took a while to get an appointment because it's like first come, first serve. I had to wait a couple of weeks to get an appointment.
Good to hear that you had no reaction. Do you usually to vaccines?
Yes, I usually have 2 to 3 days of being sick. So when I take a vaccine, I plan to have nothing happening after I get a vaccine. So
Anyone else here
Qualify for
receive?
that? Do you have to, do you, I thought you had to have a special exemption for that
a
treatment.
special
I mean, you
It's
have to be severely immunocompromised for the
well
treatment, for the
with
COVID
CLL, you're considered immune compromised.
automatically? Okay.
Yeah.
Judy, you're on Perto,
Yes. I've been
and
on that since February, and I actually had a flow test done with my blood too, and it showed only 13% of the lymphocytes compared to what have had it higher than that, but that it showed it down too, so that was good news. I
is
usually
that,
have a flow test about once a month too.
is that the absolute lymphocytes on that
Uh,
one?
I don't know on the flow test. I would think so.
For some reason,
The,
I think so.
it gives a percentage on the flow test rather than a number on my blood test. It gives a number of the absolute, and it's tending toward high, but still in the okay range.
That's good to hear. And are you with Perto? Have you been on anything else with it in combination?
Mm-mm, just it.
I'm covering a few of the trials where it's Perto in combination with
Yeah,
things. That's what I was
yeah.
asking.
That's the new the ones that they're having in trials right now uh, with that. So,
Yeah, there's one that I'm very interested in, which is, I think it might even be Bill Weirda's trial out of MD Anderson, where it's Perto and venetoclax and obinutuzumab. And
I've seen that.
yeah, that's one of the hotter ones being, I shouldn't be breaking it all, the news, but that will be one of my two things that is being called out as it's one of the two hottest CLL trials. I
Right.
mean, there are
Yeah,
others. I mean, there are so many that are interesting, but
I've been watching that one too. If I have to, the Dr. Wan had said if I fail on this, that probably to think about the new degraders even is one of the things that he's really been excited about is the new degraders. He has patients that he's put on that have done very well.
are they using those in multiple myeloma in trial as well? The degraders, BTK degraders?
I don't know.
They're, someday maybe. I mean, since, there's a lot of the same drugs being used, but it is fascinating, and also the names just
Yeah.
and then there's the wild oh God, I can't remember. I was going to say wild card. It's not wild card. Wild the wild thing. No.
The
But
Portamab too. Yeah,
there's a few degraders being presented, and I find it fascinating that they're really coming along, and that we just really first learned of them about a year and a half ago. So there's so
Dr.
much.
That's one of the things he was really high on. So
Dr. Juan.
yeah. So I think I know he has it in trial, but I don't know that he's the main investigator of that.
Which one did you say?
The degraders, I said I know he is participating, but I don't know if he's, the one that's has that
There's
going.
there's quite a few. I don't have it up here, but there's quite a few, but they don't have names. A lot of them. They have like the trial names, not the
Well, yeah.
or the
I
numbers.
was
But
on a BKT inhibitor
right.
3 years ago, and
Which
that's
one?
what put mine. I was on what the heck was it? Toboso. And so what it did is it inhibited the IDH1. It was an IDH1 inhibitor that inhibited the whole thing. So the deal is that problem you got is cancers tend to hide. And so even if you get it down to 0.00%, it can hide. It's very elusive. And so what happens is these inhibitors now prevent it from replicating. So if they can prevent it from replicating and everything, then they hit you with chemo, heavy chemo and everything. And so it doesn't have a place to hide because it can't reproduce. And so they using that in addition to the chemo, which is what I did. There wasn't a trial because they didn't know it worked together. And so what they did is they said, just keep on taking it while I'm going through platinum chemo and everything. And so what it did is it killed it all. And so a very hard case of a remission, I went into remission because of that inhibitor. And so I could understand the degrader if it's, not all or nothing in treating CLL.
Well, it's the next generation of BTK inhibitors.
Right.
So
right.
the
So it's a degrader though.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, there's the covalent BTK inhibitors, then the non-covalent, which is what Judy's on, reversible, and now these degraders. So yeah,
I wouldn't be alive without it. My doctor came back and said, you would have never made it without this.
Wow, and you weren't on a trial. Are they using that now, or do they have a trial now?
Yeah, they're using it. Now they're coming back and they're using it much more. And it was this combination where they just pretty much did chemotherapy before. And because I remember I was taking this stuff and I said, well, should I stop? Because I started getting better and everything while I was going into chemotherapy before going into the bone marrow chemotherapy. And they said, no, just keep on taking it. We don't know whether you should be taking it, you should stop or not. But they said, just keep on taking it. So I took it all the way through up to stem cell transplant.
Well, that's kind of like when
They
I was.
didn't know because they didn't know.
I was on chemo and they added venetoclax, and that was not a trial. It was added strangely. I took it only 10 days at a time with each cycle.
I took mine 6 months, and then they said, okay, you can stop it now and everything. But there was they didn't know because that was the only shot I had anyway, really. I mean, the deal was, though, and now I'm starting to see the combination of stuff where they're tying 2 things into chemotherapy, and now they're doing 3 drugs now for the harder cases where they're starting to get more knowledge into that. But
there's more and more of that.
And that's why you're getting to see much better survival rates with this stuff. It's because they're tag teaming triple cocktails of stuff on, and it's fantastic.
Well, they're seeing which ones work and don't. My first treatment was a trial, and I was on 4 different things. But for me, I did not reach. I was close, but I didn't reach UMRD. But Jerry, that's interesting that I know there are other BTK inhibitors other than the ones that we all know for CLL. So I did not realize that you had been on one.
Oh yeah, it saved me. I mean, but I'll tell you what. You know how much that thing was? And this is before Biden. This thing. So I was in the gap because I was on a student. My wife's a teacher, so I was at a government state program, and they were charging me $11,000 a month.
Out of pocket, you mean?
Out of pocket. My insurance company was covering $30,000. This was one of the top 10 most expensive drugs on the planet because only 800 people were using this across the globe at any one point in time. And it was an orphan drug, but it works. I mean, it worked. But the deal was...
Can you spell...
Pardon?
Spell it. Can you spell the name of it for me?
It was... What did I say it was again? I'll think of it in a second.
That's okay. 11,000 out of pocket plus 30,000, so it was 41,000.
Oh no, it was 11. My insurance company picked up 30, and I picked up 11.
pocket couldn't be more than $2,500.
No. That's this year, or that's
That's,
coming up next year. Actually, that's with the Biden
no,
plan.
next year is 2,000. This year was supposed to be
No,
25.
no. Well, that's if you're on Medicare. I wasn't on Medicare.
Oh, I
He
see.
was
Okay.
on Medicare. The
Yeah, I was in
difference.
that donut. I was in that donut. It was what was the name of the drug? Damn it! I just said it. I'll think of it in a second. But
Were you were you on Medicare then?
no. I was on
Oh,
my wife's plan,
okay.
where she retired early, and so until I hit 65, so between 63 and 65, I was on her private plan, but it wasn't a company plan where you get the $5 copays or anything. So you're stuck with it.
Wow,
And the
that's
problem is if you're dual income, you
right.
don't hit, you're over the threshold for what they're going to give you anything for. And so it's a brutal hole. It's a brutal donut hole
It
that you
is. And
fall into.
Mine
so,
was 19,000, but I didn't have to pay but $48, thankfully. And now I pay nothing.
so Jerry, back then, did drug companies not, or, oh, they would look at your income. Never mind.
Right. So if you're at 100,000, which is not much between two
Right.
people, even if I'm retired and everything, based on Social Security and everything else, I mean, you blow through that easily. You don't qualify. So I'm sitting there. I'm trying to push income into the next year and trying to qualify for this stuff, and you couldn't qualify for it.
Yeah, that is,
But now it's under Medicare, it's great. But so no, I was going to say one other thing. So I attended a seminar that was fantastic. What they're talking about is I don't know if you guys have ever had graft versus host disease, but with transplants and everything, now they're coming up with nanotechnology to fix graft versus host disease. So just like the JAK inhibitors and everything, now they're breaking that down to a nanoscale to where they're being able to create something that it bypasses even cortisone, the steroids and all that stuff. And I mean, it's looking pretty promising with nanotechnology and using graft versus host stuff. And it's dealing with proteins and how they attack proteins with nanotechnology that's coming off of another thing that they were very successful in doing, and it's pretty slick with how they're looking at graft versus host and the treatment of it now.
are you still suffering from that?
It's finally backing off after 3 years.
Oof.
3 years
And is
to
that some,
where I'm almost normal.
well, so
I still got the survey and I itch. I'm still buying that by the tub, but
can they use that on you, the nanotech?
it's still developmental. But I'd love to try. I would love to be a study, but really it's not as bad anymore. It's just it's problematic in the winter.
Maybe you need to move somewhere warmer.
No, it's warm is bad.
Oh, warm is bad.
Hot is
Okay.
bad.
Oh, okay, then maybe you need to move to Alaska.
Yeah, no, I just medium. Detroit's pretty good actually. It's going to become the new Florida. I'm telling you, give it 10 years, this real estate's going to be priceless with global warming. I'm telling you.
Oh, you had started to tell us, so do you know, are you still waiting to find out if you have another cancer?
I have a really bad infection that they switched. The deal is with bladder infections and everything because women have it so much. The problem is it's so antibiotic resistant. And so what I learned through Gemini, I had to learn this through a damn Google Gemini search, that transplants in people that have low resistance are more susceptible to this, to bladder infections and everything. And so you got to use pretty high end antibiotics and everything. So my guys have, I've been on 15 days of antibiotics. That's getting a lot better now. So I'm going to see him on the 10th to see what's going on. But
Is
it's a
this
bad bladder infection. I've never had one really before.
is this
I don't
because
know how I got it. Other than I got deathly sick on a bad muscle. We went to a chef event. It's the first time I go out with 10 couples who I don't know any of these people. It's for my wife's girlfriend's 70th birthday. They have a private chef. I'm the only one that had the muscle between my wife and I get deathly sick for 3 days. I mean, I haven't been sicker than this in a long time.
Is that what caused it?
I don't know, because I got this like 2 days later. And I learned it's a gastrointestinal imbalance because everybody has this thing in them. So I don't know whether it's cause-effect relationship, but.
Well, what's the name of the eye thing that you have?
The what?
The eye issue that you
Oh,
said
no, UI. It's a bladder infection.
Oh, did you also, I'm sorry. I don't know. I know I was going to the eye. I have a cousin who from eating bad shellfish, ended up with a very bad eye issue. Like she's losing her eyesight over it. I don't know if I never knew that could happen. But anyway, getting back to your bladder infection. So it's because you had your stem cell transplant from a woman.
Could be. Could be. I've never had one before. Honestly.
You're horrible.
But, just the doctor to tell you that first thing, you know what I mean? Being a 2-time cancer survivor. And then to lay that on you the first thing over a weekend and say, well, I think it could be cancer with just peeing in a cup, not knowing, just doing a quick test. I thought, what the fuck?
Doctors.
What kind of head, why would you tell me that until you get a test? And then it comes back, I've got a really bad bladder infection. I just, no bedside manner, no nothing. So what I figured on is once I go through this thing, even if I have anything, I'm going to go to U of M because they got a whole different urology department that's much highly rated than this guy that should be a meat cutter with his bedside manner,
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah.
I thought, didn't you read my chart? Obviously you didn't.
It's horrible when they do that.
Yeah,
Nancy's all smiles over there, but she's muted. I think she said something good.
No, I think that's the funniest thing I've heard tonight. It should be a meat cutter. That's what I'm going to tell my doctor next time you should just be a meat cutter.
The manner of a meat cutter, I want to go to a butcher.
Oh, it's not. It's terrible. It's terrible when you get a bad one. It's terrible.
Yeah, I just but even better that he goes, well, when you take this antibiotic, if it doesn't get better within a day or so, you check yourself. You better call emergency. And I'm thinking, oh my God, am I going to bleed out overnight? I mean, so I go to the PA. I said, well, after maybe 2 nights, should I call emergency? She says, no, don't pay attention to that. And I'm thinking.
I've learned to, when things like that happen, and luckily they're open to it, to contact my CLL specialist when these other things happen, or the nurse practitioner, because there are so many things. I remember my dentist was a young one, a new one, she saw something on an X-ray and said I probably had cancer of the jaw. And I went through those feelings like you had. And I just remember, and I had to go have more tests. And it was during the height of the pandemic and, no mask, open mouth with whatever. And I'm just like, really? And it was nothing. It was nothing. But
I tend to contact the specialist for any kind I have a respiratory or anything like that. I do that before I do the GP.
That's like the same thing. So the Cologuard. So I'm in Medicare now, and so I'm getting all these calls, and I'm getting calls from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Well, this is Blue Cross Blue Shield. We want to tell you about a new benefit you get. And I said, it's the Cologuard people. And I just got a colonoscopy, I don't know, 2 years ago. And they say, hey, you're good. It's just not in my family. They said, we'll see you in 10 years. You're good. And these Cologuard, so they're under the guise of Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they're hounding me, calling me. And then all of a sudden I get these test kits that show up to my house. I didn't order these things. I don't know what they're doing here. And I figured, well, they get paid if I do this, so I'm not going to do it. So they're in my basement and everything, but it's all this pushing because I don't want to see another doctor. I don't want to get another test unless I got to get another test, right? Because every time we get a test, there's something wrong, right? Or there's another test that leads to another test, right? And we've been tested so many times.
I know. We're all pincushions or worse. The 29 bone marrow biopsies by Lou. I still can't get over that. So, Jerry, are you feeling better then?
Oh, yeah.
How long have you been on antibiotics for this?
Oh God, now it's going on. I'm on 20, 21 days, 22 days. But I read it could take 4 weeks to get rid of this stuff.
It could take longer for men. I don't know, but it can take a long time. And if you're on a broad spectrum antibiotic, it's generally better.
They just said probiotics, taking probiotics. So I threw all my when I got well, I threw all that crap away and everything. I had to go out and buy all new probiotics and everything. Those things are expensive. So you have to take probiotics and all the stuff again and all over again.
You don't take one all the time? A probiotic?
No, I don't need it. I don't have to. I'm good. I've always been good. Good diet is good.
Kombucha, that's like a natural probiotic.
Yeah, kombucha.
You're talking about that.
You eat whole grains and things like that and everything. You're typically pretty good if your medication doesn't cause you problems, right?
Yeah.
If your medication causes you problems, you got to do extra stuff. But luckily, my medication hasn't been a problem.
So you'll need to be on the antibiotics for a month, or you don't know yet?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the 10th on it.
More good times for you.
Yeah, they give you a 5-page thing to read with this thing of all the side effects. I'm going, holy shit. With all the side effects of what you can't eat and the potassium, and you got to take all this stuff, no multivitamins and all this stuff with this stuff.
What did they give you?
Pardon?
Are you on Levaquin?
Yeah, I think so.
The 5 pages is what gave me a clue.
Yeah, I mean, they came back. So, they said because it really screws up your ligaments and everything. And so I was riding my mountain bike today, and I'm riding, and I'm taking a little more. I'm going, man, my Achilles tendon feels a little sore. I said, that's it. I'm going easy because it'll mess up. They say if you hear a pop, it's your joints, it's your Achilles tendons and everything tearing and everything. So it must be pretty intense with the side effects with this stuff.
I've had it several times.
Me too, unfortunately. Probably too many times.
Have you been on it?
Yes. Yes, I've had it several times.
And so do the probiotics work with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They definitely, well, anyway, true to you too, huh? Yeah, they help. Thank goodness. but still, they make you not feel great.
So I
No,
take floor
Level.
store,
What do you take?
it's floor store or something like that. It's antibiotic. I mean, uh,
Probiotic.
probiotic. Yeah.
I take when I get at Whole Foods. I want to say it's Garden of Life. But sorry, it's a woman's blend. So I don't know, Jerry, how much you're really like.
I could get into that now.
Well,
Or I could take a 50-50
a
men women's
20-year-old.
blend, kind of I could try the androgynous one.
It's the 20-year-old stem cell that you
Yeah,
got.
the 22-year-old
The
Norwegian
female.
blend.
The female.
exactly. I know.
The them blend.
Pretty soon you're going to be
Or
craving.
they blend. I don't know. They, them. One of the two.
Well, Jerry, I'm glad you're feeling a little better. The longer you're on it, the better. I mean, it'll feel like it's gone probably sooner, but you have to stay on it the whole time it's prescribed.
That's what I figured. It's
Because one time I didn't because I felt so horrible from it. And sure enough, within a few days, it came back.
because I was on 10 days of something else. The other thing that they did, the first line that helped, but didn't fix it.
So you're
Yep.
you're probably all messed up your gut microbiome right now.
Yeah, and normally it's been just perfect, and really never been a problem. And it's not bad, but it's just you feel off with it. More stomach stuff.
Well, you
And
have
I
the
can't figure out, is that a prebiotic or a probiotic? What the hell? What's the difference?
I still don't understand the prebiotic versus the probiotic. I don't know.
I'll
Does it?
bet Nancy would know. You know, Nancy?
I would need to refer to the other half of our marriage to figure that out. And since they only get about 30 minutes of nutrition in medical school, that's probably not going to go very far either.
Yeah.
But we take it, not the pre, the pro.
Yeah, I always take the pro, but not the pre. I know. Okay,
Yeah,
we're
because I
gonna.
read the pre. The pre
We should
helps. Now you read the studies with the pre with the FiOS helps improve mental acuity now and everything, and improves your microbloom. So I started doing that versus because I didn't need the pro originally. So you do the pre because it's supposed to at age 60, from 60 on, it improves mental acuity. There's just a recent study out by the Journal of pardon.
So now I have to add a prebiotic in too.
Read about prebiotic FiOS, FiOS, and you'll see a bunch of articles on it now. And so what it does is it's actually proved to improve mental acuity for older people.
Hey, everyone, we have to do our homework for our next meeting on the prebiotics now. Prebiotic FiOS. You know,
Yeah,
we
and
have
it's
FiOS in the house, but it's not a
prebiotic FiOS. Look it up.
I have to see who is approved that, which doctor, if they're.
No, it's a whole study. So by National Mental, it's a whole, it's independent because it's cheap. I mean, nobody's going to make any money off of it.
So before we all fall asleep, Jim, you were I think, and Lynn, you said you did not have anything to share. Jim, what is it?
I had blood test done yesterday, and
And
everything looks good. So
oh, great. Did you see Dr. Owan?
no, this is for my primary care physician. So I get to get his interpretation tomorrow, but the things that count look good.
Now you had something else going on when we last spoke, and that I'm sorry, I'm so tired. Right. Now, you had told us a few meetings ago that they were watching something else in you. Was it your lungs?
Yes, yeah. They've been watching my lungs since 2019. My doctor Juan there at the UT Southwest took me off of the ibrutinib because he said he thought that was contributing to the progression of pulmonary fibrosis. And since I've been off of it, and they put me on a lung um, medicine called Esbriet or pirfenidone, the progression has stopped. So um, I am not on oxygen except at night, and I'm on oxygen because my blood O2 drops below 90% when I'm asleep. So, and they picked that up in a sleep study five years ago. So I don't know that that was that unusual. That may be more common for just the general population. But I didn't have sleep apnea.
Hmm.
But I see Dr. Awan. I'll see him again in March. I'm on a 6-month checkup with him, and my drug holiday is now out to 20 months. I've been off of ibrutinib, and my fingernails are super. My hair is not as frizzy as it was, but anyway, I've let it grow out. I'm trying to comb it, fix it like Jerry's hair. So anyway, so yeah.
I don't dream of that.
So I think when it comes time to treat again, since the BTK inhibitor was still working, he'll probably put me on a different one, and we'll see how that works.
That's what they did to me because it was when I went off of ibrutinib like you, it was still working. So they want to exhaust it while it's still working. Use it as long as
Yeah,
they can on us before we go on to the next. Or who knows, Lynn, by the time you need something, there could be all these other things, even more things out there that are approved.
Thankfully. As I said, as long as I keep one step ahead of us, we're good.
We are. We are. This is good news, Lynn. And I do think your hair looks much more plentiful. But then again, like you said, you don't have your hat on. And I know you got your hair cut recently. So just teasing you.
well, I will tell my wife that you said I look great, so
That's right.
I'll ask her what she thinks. I'll get a second opinion.
Oh, you can probably get a second, third, and fourth right here.
Well, she's put up with me for 54 years, so as long as she keeps putting up with me, then gonna I'm gonna hang together with her.
Aw, that's wonderful. 54 years.
Well, actually, I started stalking her in high school, and that was 59 years ago when I began stalking her. You might
Oh,
ask why was I stalking her? Because she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
oh, that
I
is.
called her up and asked her out on a date, and she turned me down. I was devastated. She wasn't sure who I was. So I went out the next week and I fed her, and that was a secret. Feed her on a regular basis, and we dated 5 years and got married in 1970. And so,
We married in 70.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful story.
well, she turned me down again when I proposed to her. She gave me the ring back after she wore it for about a week and said she wasn't sure. And she went off and had a date with a guy at Texas A&M that she had been dating while we were broken up. And so then she came back and said she had decided that she was going to marry me. I said, okay. And she said, where's the ring? And I said, well, I've got it in a safe place. I want to wait another week or two before I give it back to you. Be sure you want to marry me. She's in the other room. Hopefully she's not hearing all this.
I'm going to
But
tell her.
but most of it's true. Yeah.
Aw.
I'm gonna go in there and give her a big kiss in a minute, and she's gonna say, "What's that about?" And I said, "Well, the girls told me to give you a big kiss."
Yes, that is so sweet. And you have a shine in your eyes when you speak of her.
I do, and I do have a book I'd recommend you read. I've just finished reading Patty Callahan's book, uh, "Once Upon a Wardrobe," which was really a good read out for me. Uh, but it's about C.S. Lewis and uh, Chronicles of Narnia type story, but it's more of it's a novel, but it's based on historical fact, and it's about C.S. Lewis and his growing up there in England, and in anyway, it's a good read. Good read. Once Upon a Wardrobe by Patricia Callahan. And another book I'd recommend is the one that Nancy illustrated, and I think y'all have seen that before. So.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I had one handy to hold up for everyone, but we've been moving everything around in the house. I love that book too. Bucky, right? Bucky?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have a little holiday story for you guys. But I don't want. If Jim, did you want to say anything? Because I've talked plenty tonight.
Do I want to say anything?
Yes.
I already said I did. Okay. About a week ago, my sister called me and she was sounding a little strange, and she claimed it was tiredness. So last week, I think on a Friday, she could not speak and she could not walk.
Oh, wow.
So she was admitted into the hospital and a brain tumor. And so she had surgery Monday and she's out. Well, she isn't out, but she's out of the ICU. She can talk somewhat and she can walk. And so we're still, uh, they still haven't determined if it's benign or not.
Oh, they
So
don't know
that's
what
what the status is.
you don't know what kind of brain tumor then?
No. They said it would take about 4 to 5 days and we to figure it out.
Yeah,
Well, it's
my
been 4 now, so
my best friend of over 50 years is 2 months ago was diagnosed with glioblastoma wild type. I forgot the other name, but anyway, she's they just found yesterday or today on another MRI that it is progressing, and so I'm pretty devastated over that.
um, yeah, this was within the left frontal lobe. So
Hers was right frontal.
yeah.
Well, I hope,
So anyway,
I'm
that's the
sorry to hear.
news. So yep, I know, but
Is she in treatment for her multiple myeloma?
she's doing exceedingly well. She was told that she was doing very, very good, and so it was optimistic with that. Then all of a sudden, this happened. I guess she started to have trouble speaking or thing, but knowing my sister, she, thought it was just tiredness or, old age or something, and probably held off about 2 weeks at least before it was off to the hospital. So
Oh,
anyway, but we'll see what happens.
Does she live close to you?
Oh no, she is within Tulsa,
oh wow.
Oklahoma. So
Well, keep her in our prayers. Sorry
yeah,
to hear that.
please do.
Well, Nancy, what is your other Christmas story so we can end the meeting
Right.
Yes,
On a
and
high
Jim,
note.
right now?
that's everybody has so many beautiful things to be praying about, and so thank you for sharing that about your. That's a lot. It's a lot. So when I was a young mother, I had a friend, and our daughters were, first, second grade, something like that. And in Texas, we have a store. We used to have a store called Neiman Marcus. It was a real high end store. And so she thought it would be a great idea to teach her children the Christmas story. And so she bought this really ornate nativity scene. And she set it up and told her daughter the story and all. And then, was so pleased with what she had done. And then later she told me she came in one day and Barbie was sitting in the nativity scene next to Mary, and Ken was with the three wise men. She was just appalled. She was appalled. She couldn't believe that her daughter would desecrate the nativity scene. So, but she thought, well, she's young, and she just took the dolls and moved them back into her daughter's bedroom and went on. And then, a few days later, she came back and she saw her daughter, and she had brought a wagon full of her stuffed animals. And so my friend, being a very proactive parent that she was, started to just jump in and explain the seriousness of these offenses. But as she was doing that, she stopped and she heard her daughter telling her stuffed animals the story of the nativity.
Oh,
And it just stopped her in her tracks, and she thought, I've it's when you have that moment where you just shift in your head and you start to realize it's not about how things look, it's about how things are. And it was just, when she told me this story, it made so much sense to me, because as a young mom, I was always so worried about making sure everything looked right, like they had the cute little dresses but really it was about those moments and just truly being in the moment. And so I always think about that at this time of year, and I always think how I want to bring Barbie to the nativity scene. I want to put things a little off so that I remember that it's not there. There's not a Neiman Marcus Christmas. There is a Capra Christmas, and it's going to look a certain way, and it's going to be messy. And I really, that just changed me as a young mom when I heard that story.
I love that story. I mean, it's just, that is what it's all about. But that's so cute, the innocence of babes.
Well, and how as a parent, I mean, we always want to make everything just right, and sometimes it's about just being.
Yeah. Yep.
I think as a teacher of 39 years, I taught and worked with kindergarten through sixth grade kiddos. I was a reading specialist. So they're in small groups. Kids have a tendency to share more and say more than in their classroom, because they feel, in a small group, they feel more safe to do that. So I was thinking, just knowing my experiences with children, especially, my kindergarten and first graders who are so open and tell you everything. Parents would be shocked at what the kids say. But I could see asking that child, okay, tell me why you put Barbie there, or tell me why,
Yeah.
I bet it would be interesting to hear why,
Mhm.
you know, because they have such, sweet, innocent little hearts, and they can make that connection in their own unique way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not the way we see it as an adult, but the way they see it as a child, and so that's a wonderful story. Thanks, Nancy.
I
Well,
have
I hope we all, and especially, selfishly myself, keep that childlike vision for the holidays, because there's enough adulting every day.
going with that. My grandson this week, my daughter-in-law said, "Stop throwing that down." And he said, "I wasn't throwing it. I was placing it with momentum." From a 7-year-old.
Well, I hope everyone continues to have these holiday miracles and comes back with stories to share next month for our next meeting. I wish you all a wonderful holiday season. And here's Alexa. And I look forward to seeing you then and hearing from you in between.
All right.
And I do have everyone's addresses in a spreadsheet, and you will be getting them, so you don't have to save the chat. And if you emailed them to me, I will get them. And if you haven't, you just go ahead and email me. I will send them out tomorrow, so don't worry about it.
Oh my gosh. And our next meeting is January 2nd, so we can have our own New Year's Eve party.
You can. Yeah.
Black Eyed Peas.
We're still
Barbell,
Yes,
you can turn off
angry.
your alarm clock. Barbell, turn off your alarm clock. It's time to wake up.
Oh my gosh.
Time for breakfast.
Barbell, you are amazing that you're still awake and here. I'm about to fall asleep. I've been having a lot of late nights this week preparing for ASH, so I'll be thinking of you all, and hopefully you'll see me online reporting things.
Is Ash in Florida?
It's
Where
in
is it?
San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. So you've got a long flight too.
Better weather.
So
go from really cold to a nice temperature, maybe.
Have a great time. Have a great time, Michelle.
Yeah, have a good time.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for being
here. Happy holidays.